what happened through my head is just like, I saw the orange glow in my eye and I was like, holy, like I had to get dressed because, there's two guys on the back of the engine and I know that I got to get that line somehow.
Yeah.
So volunteers changed my life because, I feel like this is the labor of love. Like,
okay.
If I would have 4 lifetimes, I'd choose to be a firefighter in every single one.
Every single time.
Welcome to the Firehouse, the show dedicated to the brave men and women who serve our community.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Firehouse on WRHU 88.7. I am your host, Chris Moses, and today, sitting with me in the Firehouse, let's go, Brookside in the building. This is my boy, and he stole my name, right? And he stole my name. My boy, Chris Drummond. What's good, brother?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good. So, I already kind of gave some away and said he's, from Brookside, so he's one of our probies at Brookside. But we're going to talk. We're going to just go through a lot of things. But, Chris, what I need you to do for the audience is tell them your name, tell them the department, tell them the company. Best company out there. You know what I'm saying about it. All right? Tell them the company. Tell them how long you've been in. And I don't think you've held any ranks yet.
Not yet.
At least tell them how long you've been in, your name, and your company and department. So, go ahead.
All right. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Drummond. I'm from the Uniondale Fire Department. I'm a probationary firefighter over at the Boogie Down Brookside Company Engine 2.
Brookside. Brookside.
I've been a part of this department for about coming up 4 months now.
4 months.
4 months, yes.
Even with 4 months, I know you got some stories.
Absolutely.
Brookside and UFD always got something going on. So
absolutely.
I know you got some stories. But let's start from the beginning. Normally a lot of times we have people on this show that, got 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years in.
Yes.
So this is, for me, special as well because now we can really hear firsthand of what made you really want to start. And it's fresh, right?
Absolutely.
Versus the people that's been here 20 years ago, like, oh, why'd you start? They don't remember. It's 20 years ago. But now, you just came in. So let's start from the beginning. What made you want to join, not just Brookside, because you told me and I read your bio, you did other things around volunteer services. So
yes.
What made you want to start in that volunteer service?
So me, myself, I'm a man of God. So
okay.
I always felt like it was my purpose to become a firefighter.
Okay.
I couldn't see myself doing anything else. Growing up, I've always had all the firefighter toys. I've always loved being at the firehouse. My mom, it used to drive her crazy. She was like, my son is not going to be a firefighter. He can't do that. It's too dangerous. But it's something that stuck with me. People thought it was a phase. They thought it would grow out of it, but it never happened. And, when I was 13, I actually had the chance. This is when I was living in the city. I joined the FDNY Fire Explorer program when I was in middle school. Shout out to Lieutenant Rich Vernon. He was my first mentor in the New York City Fire Department. And he helped kind of get my bearings and show me what the fire service is really like. And then I met other good people like, Aaron Martin. He's a good mentor of mine. He's a fire inspector in the New York City Fire Department, and then so on and so forth. I went on to the military. I've been volunteering in EMS before. I volunteered as a firefighter down south.
Okay, so you volunteered in the military.
So simultaneously. So
okay. So when you were down
yes.
at these different areas, you volunteered.
I volunteered.
Okay, gotcha.
So while I was in the military, I had 2 jobs in the military. At first, I did field artillery, and I was also a paratrooper for the 82nd Airborne Division.
Wow. Okay, so wait. We got. I know. Listen, this is one thing my listeners know. We sidetrack a lot.
Yes.
We got to sidetrack into the paratrooper thing.
Yes.
Explain. What do you actually do as a paratrooper, and talk about it just a little bit.
Yes.
We're not going to it.
So basically, as a paratrooper, we're part of the airborne community. Our primary means of insertion into battlefield would be by parachute. So
you literally jumping out of the plane, into battle,
out of planes, out of helicopters to do our thing.
So now with a parachute. So it's parachute. Not when we see like the ropes come down and you throwing a parachute on, but how you go into battle like that? Like, can't people see? Like, see, like there they go right there.
No, so fortunately for us, we have the Geneva Conventions. So normally by law, if we were ever to go to war, God forbid, you're not allowed to shoot down paratroopers unless they're on the ground. So you can't shoot them midair. So that's fortunate for us, but things happen.
Wait, so when you say that, that's just like the art of war. Like everyone knows you don't do that.
Yes, so it's an actual law. So like you could get charged for a war crime if that happens.
Wow. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
they don't take the Geneva Conventions lightly.
So just look into that because I'm gonna look into that. I didn't know that. But anyway, so let's keep going. I just had to ask
Absolutely.
about that. So first, training must have been fun doing that, right? 'Cause
It-
you gotta train. You gotta train like all the time.
It was terrifying.
It's scary.
Yeah, so I was actually the first time I've ever jumped out of the plane. I was the first man out of the door. So I was in the door. I was shaking like a leaf. It's in the middle of January over at Fort
So he
Benning,
was the
Georgia.
First person.
First man in the door at Fort Benning, Georgia, jumping out of a C-130 for the first time. And I remember it was just the most peaceful feeling after you jump out. It's a type of silence you're never gonna get anywhere. It's just
Right, yeah, because you're in the sky.
yeah, you
nothing
just
around.
quiet.
That's dope. I dope. Okay, so let's keep going. All right.
Absolutely.
So you're doing that. Let's keep going.
Yes. So also while I was in the Army, I was a firefighter down south in Fayetteville. I was a firefighter for the Cumberland Road Fire Department.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a volunteer department, but it's unique how they run it down there. It's like a combination department. So we had a part-time staff and we had the volunteers as well. So the volunteers supplemented the part-time staff. We did tours. We had uniforms. So we just ran like a normal firehouse.
Normal firehouse.
Yes.
Right. So that's where I guess the volunteering started.
Really,
right?
yes.
That's what started it up. So you're doing that. So now what makes you come? This is while you're in service, right?
Yes.
So you come back home, which is, I guess, here Long Island, right?
Yes.
Is that how that worked? Like, how did you end up at Brookside?
So at first when I came home because my biggest dream is to become a New York City fireman.
Okay.
There's nothing
All right.
more in this
Here we
world
go.
that I want.
FDNY, shout out FDNY.
There's nothing more in this world that I want to be than a New York City fireman. And I came home to do it. A lot of people thought I was crazy because when I was in the process of moving up here, I also signed up for the Washington, D.C. Fire Department.
Okay.
I got the job, and it was one of those dilemmas where people see that you have a good option and then have something that is a potential option. So the DC thing was set in stone, and they're telling me you're dumb if you're gonna go for FDNY because you're gonna be number 10,000 on the list, and what makes you think that it's gonna be you? And I'm a very optimistic person. I'm very passionate. A lot of people might mistake my passion for arrogance, but I look at people and I tell them, I'm like, why wouldn't it be me?
Yeah,
You know?
I love that. I love that. Why wouldn't it be me? It's gonna be me.
This thing is written for me. I'm a veteran. I came from the FDNY as an explorer. Like my roots are there, and that's where I want to be at. And I just didn't feel as connected with the Washington, D.C. Fire Department as I did with the New York City Fire Department. So my journey brought me back up here after I got out of the Army. I joined the Army Reserve, and then I became a military firefighter in the Army Reserves.
Okay.
But also at the same time, I became a firefighter upstate for the Port Chester Fire Department. I was on the truck company a little bit. When I was up there, it was nice, but I felt like I wasn't really much of a fit there, and there's nothing against them. It's just more so, I felt like I have more of a home at Brookside. There's more people there that I can relate to. There's more brothers there, and I feel like Brookside is a place that it fits my need because there's a lot of younger guys at Brookside, and even though I'm new, I put myself in a position where I can kind of step up and help the guys out because I have 5 years of experience of being a firefighter.
Yeah, you already have the experience. So
yes.
Even though you're a probie, technically you're really not.
Yeah,
it's you're a probie because you're in the company new, but the experience wise, you know, so you can help out a lot of the probies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So like I've had experience both on the engine company, on the truck company. I have experience doing a lot of chauffeur stuff, so I'm actually qualified to be an aerial operator for the ladder company if I needed to. I have some of my technical rescuer stuff that I've been working on, helicopter transport. I have a lot of certifications, and it was funny because when I first came down to Brookside on my first Sunday, and I spoke to Jeff Montano.
Yeah.
And
Ex-captain.
ex-captain Jeff Montano, and I was there with Cameron Peak, so I knew Cameron Peak for about 2 years because I was just randomly in Brooklyn when I was in the military, and I went up there for a study session at Metro Tech for the exam, and I went to Rescue 2 looking for Daryl Riddick.
So the surgeon. Okay.
So
That's what you went looking for.
I went up there looking for Daryl Riddick, and
we got to get him on the show. He's been ducking me, but
absolutely.
I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna get him.
So I went up there looking for Daryl Riddick, and then one of the guys there telling me, there's this kid, he's from the Army. He wants to be on the job. He's like, let him speak to Cameron Peak. And I spoke to Cameron Peak. I was like, I'm looking for a mentor. And it's funny because
Not the best mentor.
I mean, he's a pretty good mentor. He's down to earth.
Go ahead.
He's
He's one of my mentors. So
yeah. So he became my mentor. You know, we
Yep.
have that connection through service because Cameron, he was in the Army as well.
Yep.
And you know, we kept in contact. I was telling him that I wanted to be at a place where I feel like I could progress at. So he told me to come down to Brookside, and then
There you
you
go.
know, it's been
There
off
you
to the
go.
races ever since then. I met Cam Creighton. I met Kane and Creighton. I just have
Yep.
a whole bunch of
Yep.
friends over here now.
And that's what you get just for our listeners when you join in, volunteer services. You get those friends, those lifelong friends, and you're building those relationships. But just so y'all know, like when we were down there, my boy, one of my best friends, which is Cameron Creighton, he's telling me about Chris, and he's like, "Nah, dude, he's like the real deal." That's what he kept saying. He's like, "He's the real deal." Listen, and I'm like, "All right," and now learning, you are the real deal, baby. I love it, and I love the confidence. So, Chris, let's get into some stories.
Absolutely.
If they're not Brookside, because it's only 4 months,
Yes.
any stories? What stories you got for me? Let's get into them.
So
In the heart of Blue Point, New York, the Johnny Mac Foundation stands as a beacon of hope and resilience. Founded in memory of FDNY firefighter John F. McNamara, who lost his life to 9/11 related cancer, this foundation embodies his enduring motto, whatever it takes. To supporting first responders and their families, the Johnny Mac Foundation is committed to making a long-lasting impact. Join us in honoring John's legacy and making a difference. Visit at johnnymacfoundation.org to learn more and contribute.
So I gotta say this is more so of a cautionary tale. So
talk. Go ahead.
one thing, and this is for my younger guys that are new to the fire service probies. When you get your first fire, take a second, just take it in. A lot of people might be yelling, but you have to, because my biggest problem when I first started in the fire service was tunnel vision. So it was a hard transition because in the Army it's go. You got to be fast, you got to be intense, you got to get the mission done. There's not really too much thought about it. It's just muscle memory. So you can't have that mindset in the fire service because there's stuff that you have to consider. You have to consider, is this building stable enough for us to do a defensive attack? If it's stable enough for us to go interior.
Yeah.
If the fire conditions is going to change on us, stuff like that, that's stuff you got to have consideration for. So my first fire, and this is maybe 4 blocks away from the firehouse.
Okay.
This is my first fire. It was a single wide trailer home, and Russian.
Now where are we at right now? Like state?
Oh, I was in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay,
So-
because you've been all over the place. So we want to stick with it. Make sure. Go ahead.
So North Carolina, middle of the summer, it's 90 degrees. My first fire, single wide trailer home.
Okay.
I get there and just there's smoke pushing out. I don't see any fire, but it's just thick black smoke pushing out. And I get off the truck and we pull the line. One of the firefighters that was with me, Datron Jackson, he's a lieutenant now.
Okay.
So we went inside, but I was like, for whatever reason, I just did the pat down, and I was like, I don't got no radio, and I don't got no flashlight. But this, I don't got nothing. I just got my pack, and I'm just here off of good vibes now and adrenaline. So basically, I was like, it's a single wide trailer. We're at the door, so I ran back outside to the rig to grab my flashlight and my radio. Big no, don't do that. Once you're in, you're in.
That's it.
And it's just like, I grabbed my flashlight, I ran back inside, I turned the flashlight, I couldn't see anything anyway. So it was just,
Like,
it was
what
all,
am I in there?
it was all for nothing. So,
And light bounces off the smoke and all of that, so you ain't see really nothing anyway. But go ahead.
yeah. So we got the fire out. I felt on top of the world because it's my first fire. I felt like fire's been ducking me for months. I thought I was a white cloud for a minute. And then it was funny. As soon as I got back to the station, my chief, he spoke to me. He's like, it's your first fire. How you feel? I was like, I'm feeling good. He's like, and then he locks the door. He's like, if he was to come here and stomp you out right now, I would let him. He's like, you never leave a man inside the house by himself. So,
That's right.
I learned that
But
way.
you learned.
Yeah,
But
I
you
did.
learned, right? Because you turn around and they're like, yo, where's my guy? And
Yeah.
They don't want to hear that you went and no, you're in, man.
Yeah, it was a rookie mistake, but I'm glad I made a mistake like that in the beginning, and also somewhere that's not as major because it was a trailer home. You could easily get out of something like that.
Understand. All right, got another story for me?
Yeah,
All right,
actually,
come on, let's go. Let's keep hitting them.
So-
Let's keep hitting them.
same fire department in North Carolina.
Okay.
this is one that I'm doing an overnight tour at the firehouse, and
Okay.
you know, I'm sleeping. So we have my captain Joey Gorman, and Joey Gorman. He's a sweet guy. You know, has this thick Southern accent, and like, you know, every time I'm with him and he has a fire, he has like this Southern accent. He's like hollering, "It's burning, it's burning." So like I just hear it's burning in the bay. Well, I hear it upstairs, and I'm like, what's going on? Like the tones didn't drop or nothing. And then I come downstairs to see what's going on. We have this chauffeur. His name is Rick. He's an older guy, and like Rick kind of moves a little bit slow, but I saw Rick pushing it, so I was like, did I miss the tone? Yeah, Rick's moving, so I was like, I was like, what's going on? Then the tones drop. So I'm confused. I'm getting dressed, and like, you know, we pull out the bay. Halfway through the bay, I see the orange glow in the corner of my eye. I'm like, oh. So we had a mechanic shop across the street.
Right there.
Yeah,
Wow,
right there.
So right there across the street.
Right there across the street. Like there's fire blown through the roof and everything.
Man.
And I like that's where I just go in just like overtime. I'm like trying to get masked up, trying to get dressed, like the whole 9 yards. It was just.
So let's just stop right there. What is going through your mind at that moment when you see that out the corner of your eye, that glow? Like, what's going through your mind?
So my biggest thing is that I was halfway dressed. I thought we had some time, but like, you know,
There you go.
you don't really wake up in the middle of the night expecting for a fire to be across the street from the firehouse, and something like that happened to us twice, actually 3 times.
Wow.
So there was 2 fires across the street from
North
my
Carolina?
Yeah, it's
Well, go ahead.
we burn down there. I'll tell you that. A lot of people they underestimate us, but we burn a lot. There's 2 fires in front of our firehouse before, and then there was the house next door that burnt down as well.
Wow.
But when what happened through my head is just like, you know, I saw the orange glow in my eye, and I was like, holy, like I had to get dressed because, you know, there's 2 guys on the back of the engine, and I know that I got to get that line somehow.
Yeah.
So, you know, I get dressed as fast as I can, and then I get off. I go to work. I'm just doing my thing.
So let me ask you a question. Like, how is it set up in North Carolina versus here? Like, is it you're in an engine company, or is it all, you know, is engine truck, we're all together, you get on whatever rig, or?
So
because you know, like here,
yeah.
it's engine, you're on the engine company, you get on the engine.
Yes.
Is it, you know?
So in North Carolina, specifically in Cumberland County, there's various fire departments. So there's 2 sides, well 3 actually. You have the Fort Bragg Fire Department, so that's the military bases fire department. You have Fayetteville Fire Department, and then you also have various Cumberland County fire departments. So like there's various volunteer stations, but we're all the Cumberland County Fire Department at this point.
Okay.
The city of Fayetteville, which comes with us on almost every call, they have established truck and engine companies.
Okay.
It's the same thing with Fort Bragg, but with the way how my department was ran, we were mostly engines. So we have engines there. We have something called a squad. So the squad down there is not how they have it configured up here. It's more so like if you ever watched Emergency, so how they had Squad 51.
Yeah.
It's like a light BLS unit. That's how we used to run a squad down there. So we'd have that for medicals. We'd have a staff on the engine, and then we also have a rescue truck.
Okay. So that's how it's set up. So y'all like a real squad down there. I
Yes.
like that. Yeah, like a real squad. All right. So let's keep going here. I got some questions for you. All right.
Sure.
So first question that I got for you is, what is a common myth that you want to debunk about firefighting right now?
So the biggest one is that firefighting isn't the only thing that we do.
Tell them. There we go. Tell them.
Firefighters, they're multifaceted people. You know, a lot of us we respond to different types of emergencies. They don't know that we respond to flooding, car accidents, medicals. Because it's funny, like a lot of people, they'll call me and they'll ask me, you know, my relative had an asthma attack. Why was the fire department there? A lot of firefighters are CFRs.
That's right.
So they're able to deal with medical emergencies. Some firefighters go to gas leaks. You know, we're not just limited to fires. And then to know that our mission set and our skill set is changing, especially in larger cities, we have to adapt to that change. So, you know, we're very multifaceted. You have a lot of firefighters that also have trades on the outside that know
a lot more stuff.
Yeah,
right? Yep.
that can help us out. So like me, by trade, I'm an electronics technician. I used to be an electronics technician for the FAA for a little bit.
Okay.
Before.
What does that entail? Like, what is that?
So I used to wire the air traffic control towers.
Okay. Well, how does that translate into everyday life? Like, how can you use that skill in everyday life?
You know, it's just like working with the tools, knowing about electrical stuff a little bit.
Okay,
So like,
okay.
you know, if somebody had a an electrical panel that's shot, or like,
Things like
someone's
that,
outlet is smoking. I could probably
help out a little bit. All right, so those are the things that you get in the volunteer service. Everybody knows a little bit about something.
Absolutely.
I got a real question for you. Being that you have so much knowledge, and though you're only 4 months at Brookside, and you're quote unquote probie,
yes.
How do you stay humble, right? Because you know a lot more than the probies that are probably there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the black shields that are probably there as well, right? Now that's been in for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You probably know and have experienced way more than them. How are you able to stay humble? Because just so everyone knows, he is very humble, right? So how are you able to stay humble knowing, hey, I know more than half of the people in here, but y'all got me as a probie? Like, how are you able to kind of deal with that?
For over 50 years, Fire News has been the preferred publication for fire, rescue, and EMS heroes. Fire News print edition reaches Long Island, 17 states, and the District of Columbia. Visit firenews.com to see the latest news, read their digital prints, or follow them on Facebook and Instagram pages. In print, online, on social media, Fire News has you covered. Visit firenews.com. And if you go ahead and go visit on Instagram, please leave a comment and tell them that WRHU 88.7 the Firehouse sent you.
Deal with that.
So I do it for the love of the game. I never wanted to be that type of person that is like, I know it all, or I'm the end all be all for everything. That's never been my kind of personality. But I help. I give advice where I can give advice more specifically to the younger guys, or like, if I'm talking to people like David Ventura or CJ about stuff like, some of us, I've been a firefighter in 4 different places. So like, obviously I'm going to know how to do something 4 times differently.
That's right.
So like, that's kind of the stuff like I talk to them about. Like the first thing I came and I noticed is that they do the flat load on their crosslays, or the Mannerdales, whatever they call it.
Matterdale.
The Matterdales.
Yeah.
So, at my old department, we used to do something called the Minuteman, and it's
explain it. Just explain it.
So like the Minuteman, the way how it is that you have we ran 150 feet of line, 1 3/4 off of our crosslays.
Okay.
So we put 100. Well, we put 50 on the bottom. And then we put like the nozzle in the middle, like the line that has the nozzle in the middle, and then we have the other bundle on the top. So we'd have the 2 dog ears, we pull it out, and then we'd be able just to go, like you'd be able to fully deploy the line in a minute. That's why they call it a Minuteman.
That's why they call it the Minuteman.
Yeah.
What Brookside think about that? You told them?
So one thing.
Go down there one time and repack it and just show them how it is.
So one thing that, and this is going to be a common thing you might hear in the fire service, is 2 things that firefighters hate is change and things being the same.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes. And
isn't that the truth?
And that's like my biggest thing.
Change and hate things that say the same.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing is like me being at Brookside, I realized that I'm a new guy. I got to wait till I get my bearings in. And, I'm a person that I like to have action show for me, because I could say anything. It doesn't take much to do a Google search and sound like I know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
So, I'd rather be on the fire ground and show people what I'm talking about firematically. I'd rather show them at trainings. I even spoke to the senior guys about this new initiative that I wanted to start with the younger guys on Sundays that we started. I wanted to start something called the Teach Backs. So, every Sunday, each probie, they get a topic. And they train on that topic for that week, and then the following Sunday they teach the rest of the probies on that topic.
That's a great idea. I hope other people will listen, other departments. That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So because like a lot of people, everyone learns differently. Everyone has a learning curve. But I feel like a lot of people can learn by teaching, because if I'm teaching you, I'm remembering how to do something. Right. Because if I'm versed enough in it to teach you, I obviously know it enough.
Yeah, I know it.
It helps bring that confidence too, because like a lot of times the younger guys is who's showing up more. They don't have that much going on in life. Like some of them, they don't really have a wife or kids to tend to. Right. So they have more time to devote for the fire service. And I feel like my part that I need to do is kind of help invest in them as well from my standpoint.
Yeah, I love that, man. Listen, and this is what's needed in the fire service. That just your whole demeanor, your attitude, the way you are, with knowing the knowledge and it's like, listen, I want to part this knowledge on everyone, but I don't need to be pushy. I don't need to show off and show that. I know. I know, but don't worry about it.
It's about the peer-to-peer mentorship. Like you show them like you're not trying to belittle them or, you know,
Show them up.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to show you up. I'm not here by any of that means. I always tell people I'm not here for no drama. I'm not here for competition. I'm here to be a fireman. But like,
love that. FDNY, come get your guy. Come get your guy.
But
He's here.
if like me personally, when it comes to competition, if it's with the other companies, it's Brookside and nothing.
There we go. Brookside and die. That's it. It's Brookside for life. Don't worry, you're going to get it. I got it tatted on my arm right here. All right. So listen, Chris.
Yes.
We need to get into a game called the Flashover.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you saw the show, but if you saw it, you know what the Flashover is. It's a game show that we play here where I ask you two things, Android, Apple. You got to give me a quick answer.
Yes.
You already gave me the answer for that one when I asked you Android or Apple. You said Apple.
Apple.
Right? That's funny because I never asked the question. I always give the example, but you're an Apple guy.
Yes.
Just for my listeners, I am a full-out Android guy. I am not Apple at all. But, okay, so in the Flashover, we're going to ask these questions. You got to give them to me quick, right?
Yes.
We may stop and talk a little bit about them, but you got to give me an answer, okay?
Yes.
All right, Chris, are you ready for the Flashover?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yep.
Basement fire, warehouse fire.
Basement fire.
Brush fire, dumpster truck. I mean, dumpster fire. I said dumpster truck. Dumpster fire.
Brush fire.
Brush fire?
Yes.
So we're going brush fire over dumpster fire.
Absolutely. It's too much digging for a dumpster fire because, like, you know, you get a nice dumpster fire, a big dumpster. You're gonna have to be digging through a bunch of trash, making sure there's no extension.
True.
With a brush fire, you know, you just kind of, as long as you make those fire breaks, you're fine.
You're good. How about basement fire or a dumpster fire?
Basement fire.
Definitely basement fire. Why are you going basement fire? We know those are some dangerous fires there.
You know, it's funny because I think that I might be a little bit crazy. But I'm one of those people
every
like
firefighter's a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
We always say that. Everyone's running this way, you're running that way. It's okay, but go ahead.
like, you know, you have to be a little bit crazy to do what we do because
yes.
for me to be a man that jumps out of planes
That's right.
and then also would full-fledged run into a fire without thinking twice about it. It's one of those things like, you know,
a little bit kooky.
Yeah, I just like I would do it. I wouldn't think twice about it. You know, I trust my training. I trust the guys that are with me, and you know that's part of the training. You know, making sure that everyone's up to par, so you could trust the guys to left and right.
That's right. All right. Confirmed car fire or an automatic alarm with a light smoke condition.
I'm gonna say a confirmed car fire.
Confirmed car fire. You going with that?
Absolutely.
Confirmed car fire. Okay. Let's keep going. You are at a parade, right? Do you want to drive the rig or drive the chief truck?
Drive the rig.
Drive the rig.
We get the most attention in the rig.
You get the most attention. Wait till you get to that. Have you been to the African American Day parade when we go there?
Not here.
Dude, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. We are having a great time. We got guys on top of the rig, all of that. Don't worry about it. You'll see it in September. You'll love it. All right, let's keep going. We're still at the same parade, right?
Yes.
Chief walks up to you and says, listen, I'm going to need you to do me a favor. You got two choices. You either go and go do this calendar photo shoot with them, or you're going to walk Class A 100 degrees. Which one you picking?
I'm probably...
You got to pick one. Listen, you can pick one. Calendar, go do the calendar shoot with them, or you're going to be walking in this parade 100 degrees, full Class A. Which one we picking?
Even though I'm photogenic, I'm going to walk with the guys.
You're going to walk with the guys. You're going to do it. You're not doing the calendar. Nah. I'm good. I'm going to walk with the guys. Full Class A.
Unless it's a Brookside calendar, then no.
Then that's it.
I'm walking with the guys.
All right. Though you're a probie, this is an interesting question, right? You're at the installation dinner, which is coming up, I think, June 14th, right?
I think so.
I think June 14th is Uniondale's installation dinner. If you had a choice, who are you sitting with? The commissioners, the probies, or the Black Shields?
I'm sitting with the probies.
Sitting with the probies, right? You a probie? I'm sitting with the probies. All
Absolutely.
Right. All right. So now I need you to put on the hat because I assume, you know, one day you want to go into being captain, lieutenant, all the things like that, you know. So I need you to put that hat on, right?
Yes.
If you know, are captain. Your captain at the house is a Sunday. We're going to do a department critique at 10 o'clock. It is 8 o'clock. All your guys are there. You got 2 hours. Are you going to have them clean the firehouse? Or are you going to have them do another training? Train. Do another training. Let's go.
Training is important. I mean, like, you know, you could look nice, and looking good doesn't mean anything if you don't perform good.
That's the truth. That, you know, no one has ever said that here because the people that do say cleaning, but it's like, great, your firehouse is clean, but you don't
exactly.
You don't know anything. I love that. All right, so let's get into some movies and some TV shows. If you don't know them, just say pass, and we'll keep going.
Absolutely.
All right, are you ready?
Yep.
Chicago Fire, Rescue Me.
Rescue Me.
Rescue Me, Third Watch.
Rescue Me.
Rescue Me 911.
Rescue me.
He's going to rescue me all the time. That's FDNY. So he's like, I'm going to rescue
Absolutely.
me. All right. Backdraft, ladder 49.
Ooh.
Here we go. So this is the question.
That's a hard one. I'm gonna
Backdraft, the Bible of the fire department, or
Yeah.
ladder 49? Which one?
I'm gonna say ladder 49.
You got to tell us why. Why ladder 49 over backdraft?
So I noticed because me being the firefighter fanatic I was growing up. Actually, John Travolta, he went through a fire academy over in Baltimore.
Yep.
So he went through the fire academy to learn how to be a firefighter. He was actually embedded in the Baltimore City Fire Department.
Okay.
And I felt like, they paid a lot of extra detail to that movie.
Yeah.
And that movie really tugged on just like my heartstrings. It made me kind of see the camaraderie in the firehouse. It's a little bit more realistic with the types of fires that they get there as well too. Because like, I'm a young guy, I'm 22 years old. I can't relate to fires back in the 80s.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but like,
even though it wasn't even like that, even though, backdraft was very, very over-dramatized.
Yeah.
All right, so most important question I'm going to ask you today, Chris. I kind of have a feeling I know the answer, but maybe not. All right? Most important question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Engine or truck?
Engine.
Engine all the way. There we go. Engine all the way. All right. Why engine over truck?
You can't put out a fire with a two-gallon water can.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. We bring the water.
We put it out. We put it out. Don't get mad, truckies. Don't get mad. We put it out. You had touched on when you were talking about ladder 49 about the camaraderie, right?
Yes.
In your opinion, how do you keep the camaraderie in a fire department? It's high stress, right?
Yes.
There's tons of personalities, and most likely in the firehouse, everyone has that type A personality.
Yes.
We're all that's where. How do you keep that camaraderie? You're going to be coming into ranks. How do you think that you keep that camaraderie with everyone?
So I actually learned about this a lot while being in the Army. I was a very young sergeant in the Army. I was 19 years old when I promoted to sergeant in the military.
Wow. Congrats, man. Look at that, man.
Thank you.
You literally blow me away every single time, man. When they said you the real deal, you are. But go ahead.
So one thing that I learned is it's all about servant leadership,
Yep.
Everyone has a need. Everyone has somewhere that you got to meet them at. And the biggest thing about camaraderie is that, everyone has to bear the same load. Every guy has to know that they're pulling their weight of the team. They got to feel equally as important. They got to feel like their needs are being tended to. Some guys, they could hold their own when it comes to a situation. Some guys, they need a little bit more help. You just got to make them feel like they're included. Sometimes you got to make a one-on-one conversation with some guys to see what they need help with too. Because a lot of guys, this is a profession where pride gets in the way of a lot of things.
Yes.
A lot of times people, they're too scared to ask for help.
Yes.
Especially like, even with older guys. I've seen older guys be in situations where they're like, I should be knowing stuff like this, and I'm not going to ask for help because I'm the guy that's supposed to know. No, it's fine.
I don't know.
Listen,
they may make fun of you a little bit. We may, but it's all in good love, right?
Yeah.
It's all in good love. Like, you got to know it. But go ahead, keep going. My bad.
Yeah, it's all in good love. It's all in good faith. Just busting each other's chops is just part of the fire service.
It is.
But I feel like nobody should feel like asking for help is too much of a task for them. Like, ask for help. Come up the net if you have any problems. If it's something about some, so I've had I actually didn't know how to change my tires when I was in the fire service.
Wow.
And I was embarrassed to ask for it, but they helped me do stuff.
They showed you. Yeah,
So-
listen, not everybody knows how to do that. If I haven't done it before, how am I supposed to know that?
Absolutely, and it's like you even have guys that are like probably 30s or 40s. They don't know how to cook, but I know how to cook. So
There you go.
I'm like, I could teach you how to
I'm
cook.
coming to
It's
ask
no
you
problem.
questions, man. I'm telling you, yo. Well, that's one thing about me. I definitely will ask questions, and I have no problem saying I don't know or I don't remember.
Absolutely.
Can you show me? So, but you don't get that in the firehouse a lot. Like we said, everybody's that type A personality
Yeah,
or
no
don't
doubt.
want to say nothing, and I'm supposed to be the guy that knows. Well, you forgot. We're all human, and things happen.
You got to know.
You don't want to forget while we're out there. Forget
Yeah.
while we're at the firehouse, right? You
Yeah.
don't remember. You want to be out there not knowing. So
You got to know what you need before
you go.
you actually need it.
That's right.
Because I don't want to be the type of person to be on the fire ground and I don't remember how to do something, and that's the time where I got to figure it out.
Yeah,
Because-
you don't want
yeah.
that because now you're endangering yourself. You're endangering everybody
Others,
else,
the public.
like the public. So, all right. So, got a couple more questions for you before we get out of here, right?
Absolutely.
In a whole, right? Because what we didn't talk about is where you work, right?
Yes.
So, what do you do?
So I'm currently an associate fire safety manager for the Metropolitan Museum of Art, better known as the Met,
Okay.
out in New York City.
So I'm assuming like that job that you decided to get has a lot to do with your service as, volunteering in North Carolina, volunteering in all these different places.
Absolutely.
And now you're like, I'm going to do this for a living.
Absolutely.
Right? I love that. So with that said, how has being a volunteer changed your life?
So being a volunteer has changed my life because, I feel like this is the labor of love. Like,
Okay.
if I would have 4 lifetimes, I choose to be a firefighter in every single one.
Every single time.
And it's because I just love being a firefighter so much. I don't mind. You could pay me $1 million to do it. You could pay me 0, which that's how much I'm getting paid now.
Right now.
and I'll still do it, even twice on Sundays.
Yeah,
like
I love
this
it.
this is just something I love so much. And being a volunteer changes your life because it shows that you have actual dedication to what you really want to do.
Yeah.
Especially like sometimes you might get guys that they have that moment where they just sit there. It's like an existential moment in the fire service. They're like, what am I doing this for? And every time I come here, I try to remind people. I'm like, yo, like think about your why. Why are you here?
That's right.
What are you contributing to the team? How are you going to make yourself better? How are you going to make this team better? I know that you don't get paid, but I don't get paid either.
Yep.
Like, at the end of the
Yep.
day, we still have a purpose. We still got a task to do. And I need you to lock in.
I love that. I love that. Man, you're blowing me away, man. You're blowing me away. I'm glad we did this interview. I've learned so much. But okay, so as we keep going, if there's somebody, right, that, that's thinking about joining, that, maybe is in with you. Maybe there's someone in with you right now and they only have a month or 2, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's someone that's listening to this show right now and they're thinking about joining. What type of advice would you want to give them?
So 2 types of advice that I would give. The first one is, drown out the noise. We live in a time where the internet's very prevalent. A lot of
That's right.
people, they have social media more involved in the fire service. A lot of people, they're recording stuff. Everywhere you go, there's people with their phones out.
That's right.
And it's like situations where it's like, somebody lost their house, somebody lost their life, and you're recording this moment.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, we have a lot of people. I like to call them the Facebook firemen. they're always
Y'all
there.
know who y'all are.
They're
Y'all know
always
who
there.
y'all are.
They're always under the videos. They're critiquing. They all of a sudden have 30 years of experience. They all of a sudden has been to every fire in the world. They feel like they know everything, and it's like sometimes you just gotta ignore it. Don't listen to the noise. If you know that you had a shortcoming, that's okay. Learn, train on it, and be better next time. But don't let these people try to discourage you because at the end of the day, it's going to be a point where you feel like even though you're just new here or you're probie, there's going to be some people that might look at you and kind of resent that because they don't have the same passion for the fire service that you do.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And then my second piece of advice would be, be able to take criticism, be able to handle stress under pressure because, there's times where I'm probably going to yell at you, but it's not me yelling at you in a way of like, yo, like, I'm mad at you. No, this is an intense moment. I need you to focus. This is like kind of it's the same thing we do in the heat of battle. Like, if I got to yell at a guy across from me, if we're in a firefight and I got to be like, yo, I need more ammo or I need this, I need you to call on the radio for something, then that it's the same thing for the fire service. Hey, this fire is going to get ahead of us. I need you to pass me more line. I need you to tell them to bump the pressure up. I need us to back out right now because our fire situation is changing.
Yeah, it's not I'm yelling at you. I need stuff.
Yeah, and it's like not all criticism is bad criticism. Some people, they genuinely want to help you. Some people want to see you do better, and you just gotta have the discernment to know which one is which.
That's right.
Just tune out the noise.
True. So let me ask you, because that's something that is a lot, especially in the volunteer services and the different companies. How do you drown out that noise though? Like, how do you actually drown that noise out of, this person has this chip on their shoulder and this person is mad about this. And as a probie, they're coming in and they're telling you these things, oh, don't do this or don't do that, or this is the bulletin over here. How do you drown that out and still continue doing what you do?
The biggest thing that I do to remember how to drown it out is just remember why you started.
Remember your why. You said that earlier.
Remember why you started. Remember why you're there, because at the end of the day, that why is going to overpower everything else. There's nothing nobody's going to say that's going to get me away from wanting to be a firefighter.
That's right.
If I got to be a firefighter somewhere else, or if I gotta wait a little bit, take a break, I'm always gonna go back to being a firefighter. I know why I want to do it. I know that this is my passion. I know that this is what I was meant to do, and I remember that why. So that's my biggest thing.
I love it. FDNY, come get your guy. Come get your guy. Listen, Chris, thank you so much, man, for coming down to the Firehouse. Is there anything that I'm forgetting that you want to bring up before we get out of here?
Again, I'd like to shout out Brookside again.
Brookside,
Boogie down Brookside. I'd like to shout out Frank's Warehouse for making the T-shirt for me.
Okay.
You know,
y'all see that T-shirt that he's wearing right now? Make sure, there we go. Got the patch right on there. Yeah. Second to none, baby. That's us.
Second to none.
What was the name of the place that made the T-shirt?
Frank's Warehouse.
Frank's Warehouse. What up, Frank's Warehouse? What up? All right, but anything else that we forgetting before we get out of here?
You know, again, remember your why. Have faith in the fire service, and even if you're young, don't let your age hold you back from doing anything. I'm 22, and I've accomplished so much at 22, and you could do it too.
Here we go. I love it, man. Thank you again. Thank you so much for coming down to the Firehouse. All right, everybody, I hope you all enjoyed that. We just heard from my boy Chris Drummond. He is in the Uniondale Fire Department, Brookside Company too, about his life as a firefighter. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. Please like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. I am your host, Chris Moses, and please tune in next week to another great conversation in the Firehouse.